Good morning. Welcome to Collecting Prince. This is the podcast where we explore the legacy of the music artist known as Prince and related artists in the world of collecting Prince music. We're going to talk today about collecting music, how to do it, and different options you have in building a collection. Whether you're collecting uh, clothing items, personal items from the artist, whether you're collecting the music, rare and limited edition items, such as I collect. But it gives you an opportunity to learn more about collecting the music of Prince, see some pretty rare items, and to talk about some of the things that are going on in the world of Prince, new releases, and so forth. So we'll have some fun with that and talk about it. We have a half hour segment today. Every Saturday, we're going to get together for a half an hour together and talk about how we can build a collection and why are we collecting. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's get ready to warm it up. Well, good morning again. My name is Brian Welton. I'm actually your host for Collecting Prince, the podcast. This is an opportunity for us to talk about the legacy of the artist, as well as the history and the stories behind the music, which is great. Many of the segments that we will do, I will bring guests on that have worked with Prince, other major collectors in the country and in the world. And we'll have an opportunity to really dive into collecting the music of Prince, whether you are new to collecting or if you are a veteran and if you've been doing it for quite some time. And so this is for the novice Prince collector as well as those who have been collecting for decades, such as I have. And so this is an opportunity for us to talk about the music, not just the records, not just the posters, not just the rare items that are sealed in plastic, but the story, the memory, and the cultural impact of this music icon that came from Minneapolis. And so we're excited to share information with you, interact with you. As we move forward, there will be opportunities for you to interact with us on the show, which will be great, as well as for us to offer some giveaways and some rare items that you just wouldn't find anywhere else. And so this is a wonderful place to be. I'm really glad that you decided to share some of your Saturday morning with me. We are broadcasting from the West Coast in California. And so it's exciting to meet other collectors and talk about the music. So, what's interesting about collecting music is that collecting the music is a very personal thing. Music always ties us to some sort of memories of the past, memories of great things that have happened in our lives. And I know personally, Prince music was just the soundtrack that was playing as coming of age. And so I remember listening to and watching the music videos for the 1999 album. I remember when I first heard When Doves Cry, and I knew then I was like, oh my goodness. And so what's interesting about that is that I had other friends that were interested in collecting, and they started collecting at that point, and I did too, but not so seriously. It was a few years later that I started collecting heavily. I remember when the Around the World in a Day album came out, and many people thought it was a departure from the very hit driven and pop oriented Purple Rain, but I loved it, and so from moving there on, just listening to the music and seeing Prince as an artist evolve and change. And understanding now from having worked with the music for so long, understanding that he recorded music over such a long period of time. Some of the items that you saw on later albums had been written and recorded maybe 10 years before. And so it's very interesting to unravel some of his thinking as to how items came out, how he put things together. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. And what's great is that this artist known as Prince is a worldwide icon. And a lot of times when artists pass, as he passed in April of 2016, things change and their light fades. That's not really the case with Prince. The light for Prince is remaining steady and in many cases still growing. The Prince estate is doing what they can to make sure the music is released and people are interested in the music of Prince. And so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to evolve. But the Prince fan base is massive, it's strong, and the truth is, Prince fans are crazy, which is wonderful. And so that keeps the legacy alive. And so that's what we're doing here. We're doing two things. We're talking about the legacy of Prince, but another major thing that we are doing is we are talking about how to collect the culture. And specifically, we're collecting this music that was a central piece to pop culture at the time, and certainly a central piece to Black culture at the time, and still continues to be. And so I am a serious proponent of us collecting our own history, and so that we have the opportunity to tell the stories that are our stories. And so, what's great about it is that the music has impacted so many people worldwide that to hear the excitement and the energy around Prince from someone that was in South America or someone that was in Europe or someone that was in Africa, and hearing their excitement about the music, it shows that we should be much more united in this world than we are, because music brings people together and we should allow it to do so. So, with that information, one of the things that I'll share is a little bit about my background because you'll say, who is this guy? Why is this guy talking about Prince? Does he know anything about Prince? Yes. But anyway, so one of the things that I'll share is that I really began collecting in about 1985, 1986, and through that, collecting all types of memorabilia. There are Prince fans and collectors that actually collect music from they collect different items. I am not personally one of those people that collects a lot of the paper ephemera, so the postcards and so forth. I do have quite a bit of postcards and posters, because it's just important to have the things that tell the story of Prince. I focus mainly on rare items and rare releases. So official releases, not the bootlegs, but official releases by Prince and the labels that he was with at the time, whether it be Warner Brothers for so long, whether it be EMI, whether it be Arista. And so it's very, I want to have a broad spectrum of the things that are collected. And so through this podcast, you will also see, certainly, you will also see rare items, and we'll talk about some of those items and share. So I think now might be a good a time as any to share some of those items with you. One of the things we'll start with is, which is really the most popular. The most popular are the vinyl recordings from Prince, and some of these happen to be pretty rare. These are, you'll notice that they're a little bit different. They have the paper strip. Um, and so we'll talk about what that is. This is a Japanese release of the first album. And I'll take it out of plastic so that you can see it. So you'll notice that this actually has a sample there written, and you'll see this strip of paper here. And Japanese releases for their vinyl, especially the albums, they had the OBI. Some people call it the OB, but it's a strip of paper that really denotates the release as well, almost like a promo stamp that we would have here in the United States. And it's very fragile, so sometimes this will not be attached to the album when you get it. And somebody said, no, break that. Yeah, this isn't one that was sealed. This is just one that was in plastic to preserve it. And so I see we have definitely have a collector there's like, no, don't break the album out of the plastic. But this is just an example, and the vinyl is still heavily collected. I would say that the vinyl is collected more than you will find collections of CDs or anything else. But I like to collect rare items, and so I don't limit myself to the vinyl, the CDs, or the cassettes. What I am interested in are things that came out in either very limited numbers or items that were never released to the public. And so I have quite a few items that were never released. I know that many of you may know the story of the infamous Black Album, and that's an actual story that cuts across um, the Prince genre, and more so is just general music history. In 1987, Prince was set to release 1987, 1988. Prince was set to release an album that he had done. He was going through some personal things at the time. He recorded an album and decided not to release that album. So that album was pulled from production. Uh, yeah, that was 1987. That item was pulled from production, and when it was pulled from production, some of the product had already been shipped, and so it was a little bit easier to collect the copies that were produced in U.S. plants, and so there were CDs, there were I've seen CDs and I've seen vinyl. I haven't seen cassettes, though I know that they existed. They may not have been produced at that time by the time it was pulled, but I know that Germany had some of the albums that were pressed and they got out into the general public. But it ended up being the most bootlegged record album of all time in the history of music. And so for many years, people were passing around copies. I have a copy of it. I found a copy of it. This is what's on the album. And it created its own firestorm. And that particular release, Prince decided later on in 1994 to actually release the Black Album, which he did. And so it is available. But as you can imagine, with the few number of copies, I would say there are probably about maybe 30 to 40 floating around. um though every now and then one will come up and it's several $1,000s to get an actual copy of the original. But what's interesting about it is that uh it goes beyond Prince. It just lets you know the interest in his music, for that to be the most bootlegged or copied album out at the time, because it was never released until 1994. And still, the 1994 versions of that, especially the limited edition pressings, are very expensive. Many of them, thousands of dollars in order to get a copy. And I'll show you some of those as we go through the course of the show. I have quite a few of the items I've been collecting for really since 1985, and my collection spans probably about close to 10,000 pieces, whether it be, buttons, posters, CDs, 45s, LPs, 12 inches, limited studio tapes. All of those things make up the collection. And that's just part of a larger collection that I maintain of pop culture music and artifacts that really span from the Harlem Renaissance to the present. And so we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But it'll be interesting to know, certainly as we go through this, let me know what sparked your interest in collecting the music of Prince. Such a powerful icon, one of the, in my opinion, the greatest musician that we've ever seen in music history. Certainly a prolific writer, certainly a producer, and all of the things that come along with that, and certainly a wonderful performer. I believe that Michael Jackson, in my opinion, was probably the greatest performer ever. But as a musician, as an artist, I don't think there's anyone that comes close to Prince and what Prince has done. But that's my opinion, and everyone has theirs, and it's great because it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, when we talk about music and music icons, Prince is always and will always be in that conversation somewhere. And so it's an opportunity for us to not find ways to be different or say, I believe this and I believe that. It's an opportunity, especially with everything that's going on in the world today, for us to come together and say, you know what, we love this music. You know, that song may not be my favorite song, but I love this music. And hey, have you heard this one? And so it's great to get fans together and play some of the music that they may not have heard. There are songs that have been B-sides on albums that many people may not have heard. There are things, as we know now, coming out from the Prince estate of things that were never released that are coming out now. And so it really, really is a great time for a Prince fan. I know that we miss Prince dearly, and we miss the legacy that he continued to build while he was alive. But now is this really special time because there is so much music available that you get a chance to hear that you would not have heard otherwise because it would have simply stayed in the vault or would have been released at some point in some way, shape, or form. But we don't know that. So just excited to be here. I'm glad you are sharing some of your Saturday with me. It's an opportunity for us to talk about, again, the music of Prince, but also talk about collecting music and how collecting preserves culture, because that's very, very important. The culture that we have here in the United States is really a much more inclusive culture than people want to say. I remember a time when listening to the music, you could hear any type of music on the same station, and it was fine because that's the way it should be. Music should cut across all genres because musicians have some things to say. Sometimes they have things to say more poignantly than our leaders do. Imagine that. And so it's an opportunity for us to find ways to come together, for us to build as communities and see that we are all human beings trying to navigate this thing called life. And it's better to do it when you have people that are trying to support and come together and share ideas. And so that's what we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to share ideas about how to build your collection of music. What do you want to collect? Where do you find music? How can you find music? What are your options? And I will certainly say that the best way to kick off your collection is to think about what you enjoy the most, what you may already have a few items on to build on, so that you can, in a sense, corner the market on those that particular, whether it's an album project or you like the particular song. Have all the versions of that particular song or that particular album or CD, and then you can start talking about, well, maybe I'll pick up a few of the international releases. I'll pick up a copy from Argentina. I'll pick up a copy from South Africa. I'll pick up a copy from Brazil. And so that's interesting because those releases oftentimes had different artwork. They were put together differently. And it just tells the story and shares how the viewpoint of Prince was and the related artists. And so when we talk about the related artists, oh my goodness, there are so many that have been in Prince's long career from the very, very beginning. Members of actually even 94 East, you're talking about Andre Simone, Pepe Willie, all these, and then Prince being discovered by Owen Husney, and then signing to Warner Brothers and doing his projects. But he worked with many, many artists over the span of his career that have been pulled into the Purple family. And so some of those recordings that Prince worked on and even sang on are very, very, very rare. And we'll have the opportunity to listen to some of the music as long as it is not an actual official produced release that will get us banned off of any platform because we don't own the rights to that. But if it's something that's unreleased or something that is maybe an outtake or a rehearsal version, it might be there may be an opportunity for us to play that for you. But we're excited to have you here. And so share with us. You can reach out in the comments. But more importantly, we're here to help you build your collection and think about what will actually fulfill what you're trying to fulfill as far as what you want to collect. There are some people that are called completists, and that means they need to have everything that was done either for Prince's entire career or something for a particular project. There are certain people that collect the Purple Rain era, people that collect the Batman era, and so a completist would have everything that was produced at that time, whether it be promotional advertisements in newspapers, whether it be promotional flyers and posters that were sent to the radio stations or the record stores. All of that, all of that is out there, and so to be a completist, you really do have to know what was actually produced. And some of the ways to do that, as I was about to mention, the best way to grow the collection is to join a group of other collectors that can give you information. There will always be someone that has been collecting longer than you or has a larger collection than you. And there will always be someone that just got the idea or just had the opportunity to start collecting now. And so it's a really good thing to be able to get together with other people and talk about the music and talk about what your particular interest may be. I know at this point I actually do on this channel. I actually do a live sale, a live auction of music, which gives people an opportunity to pick up some sometimes common pieces, but mostly very, very rare pieces at a very, very reasonable price. But again, the best way to do the collection and learn information is to join other Prince groups. I personally, joined the Paisley Five and Dime on Facebook, and Eric and that team there have been instrumental in me building the collection that I have. I had quite a bit. I've only been a member probably maybe 7 or 8 years. I have to look that up. 7 or 8 years, but that in that 7 or 8 years, the amount of information that I've gotten, the opportunity to speak to or hear from actual artists that work with Prince, but in some cases speak to. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity. I got an email from the leader of that group to say, "Hey, you're in the Bay Area, and it was around the 40th anniversary of Purple Rain, and some was called the Purple All Stars, and that is St. Paul, Jelly Bean, Elisa Fiorillo, and a few other people that would come in and come out to play the music. It was great to have them come to the Bay Area, and I got the call to say, hey, they might need some help there with a few things, and I got a chance to help share the word that they were there to sell a few more tickets, but more importantly, to be there to help them with point of sale and actually selling some of their items to the public. And so you never know who is in some of the groups with you. And there are groups in different area. I know that there's Purple Funk SF here in San Francisco. Well, not too far in San Francisco. I know that there are the Arizona Paisleys. Shout out to Terry. And I hope you're feeling better because I know you're under weather. And Travis, you guys do a great job with what you're doing there. Again, this is all about giving you the opportunity to meet other Prince fans. So look at some of the groups that are out there, whether they be on Facebook or any other platform. Many of them are international groups. I'm connected with groups in the UK, buyers and sellers in Australia. And so it's just a wonderful world of collecting the music of Prince. But so with that being said, I'll share a few more items. And so let's see what we have here. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Going through some of the vinyl. Okay. So this podcast isn't about showing off the collection. Well, maybe a little bit, but it is also talking about how you can build your collection. And so I'll share a few of the items. Uh, and so this happens to be one of my favorite projects that Prince did. And this hit in 1987. And I remember hearing it on the radio in the Washington, D.C. area. That's where I'm from originally before I relocated here about 10 years ago to the Bay Area in San Jose. I was listening to the radio in Washington, D.C. And of course, D.C. has some powerhouse radio stations, whether it be 93.9 WKYS, 95.5 WPGC. And Donnie Simpson, who was on Video Soul for BET, was also one of our most beloved DJs on the radio and at WPGC. And one of the interesting things is he had a good relationship with Prince, so I think that probably helped us hear some things. But the first time that I heard a song from this project on the radio, I knew immediately that it was Prince, even though it wasn't under the Prince name. It was actually an instrumental, um, uh, really an instrumental quartet, um, and it's called Madhouse. And this is a copy of the first project. This is actually a Japanese pressing of the first project of Madhouse, Madhouse 8. There were 8 songs on it. The next one was 16 that had another 8 songs on it. And that project, instrumental but phenomenal. As soon as I heard it, I knew it was Prince. And so just a massive, massive, massive release. And so that's one of the things that I collect. Um, what else do we have here? Oh, a little bit earlier, I was speaking about the Black Album, the most bootlegged album in music history. And I was speaking about how it was actually released in 1994. But when they released it in 1994, Prince and Warner Brothers actually came up with different color vinyl in limited numbers. And so I believe the most rare version is the gray. Then you have the white, and then you have the peach colored vinyl. And they were done in different increments of lower numbers. I believe that, goodness, I think one was 30 copies and one was 50 copies. And then, what the number was, the higher than that. But what I'm showing you now is actually a copy of the Black Album. And this is actually uh, the peach version of the 1994 Black Album. And you'll see that it's marbled. And this was released in 1994. And I've seen these go very, very high. Um, but after this, more rare than this is the white vinyl, and more rare than that is the gray vinyl in much more limited copies. And that's extremely rare. But every now and then I'll pull out a few of the items from the collection. Again, I've been collecting for some time, but there are people out there that collect or that have been collecting longer than I have, and that have more items than I do. And it's not a competition, but it really is more so an opportunity to get together and talk about the music and have some fun. This is music that we enjoy, but there is also something that's fun about collecting, and so it's great to be able to do that and have that opportunity. So let's see what else we have that may be rare before we get out of here. Now, this is one of my favorite projects as well. I'll share this. And this is actually a Japanese pressing of an album that came out in 1995. And this is The Family. This is The Family. And this is their album. Recently in the Prince community, we lost Jelly Bean Johnson, that you would know from The Family and The Time. And that's Jesse Johnson's brother. And so, he was an instrumental figure, not only in the music of that time, but most recently working on a Minneapolis Music Museum in Minneapolis. to really celebrate the artistry, not only of Prince, but so many people that came out of that particular area. And he will be dearly missed. Um, and so I've got a chance to meet Paul, when he came to our area, but I hadn't had the opportunity to meet Jelly Bean, but certainly a major figure in the music that we're talking about today. So this show really is, for some, an introduction to Prince, his music, his legacy, and collecting. But if you are a veteran collector, we will also have some things for you as well, as far as talking about even preserving the music, how to store the music, where do you find or how do you find some of the more rare and limited edition items. And so I'm excited to take this journey with you. Thank you so much for joining us today here on Collecting Prince, the podcast. Your host, Brian Walton, signing off and saying, hey, have a fantastic purple day.